Hi everybody, welcome back to Be Sacred Space. Here we're all about self-mastery, freedom, and co-creating our desired realities. I'm the creator of this beautiful, amazing, and lit space. My name is Bianca, but you can call me B, and I'm here to inform, support, and empower you on your unique journey. So please stick around. I promise you will not be disappointed. Welcome back everybody. Hope you guys are all doing well. Today I come to talk to you guys about why I chose to homeschool my children. And hopefully, I don't know, this inspires somebody, this helps someone makes the decision whether or not they're going to homeschool their children. And then again, this is just a little bit of to let you guys get to know a little bit about me and how I choose to live my life free. And so I decided to homeschool actually way before I had children. I actually decided to homeschool when I was in high school. I wanted my mom to homeschool me, but my mom was a single mother of 3 kids. So my mom worked a lot, so she didn't have the ability to homeschool. And I'm sure she, like a majority of everybody, thought homeschooler, you just didn't homeschool because what's wrong with the public system? And it kind of sucked. I really wish that I was homeschooled. I hated school. I'm so glad I graduated. I'm so glad I don't have to do that ever again. And I truly hope that my children never have to attend schooling. But that's, yeah. So I decided to homeschool in high school because I just realized at a very young age that the school system didn't care about us. I went to an average school. I didn't go to the school in the ghetto. I didn't go to a super rich uppity school. I just went to an average school. But I don't know. I could tell at that age that they didn't really care about the students there, that it was all about the results and the outcome. And so that, on top of being bullied and just the dumb stuff that they do in school. I know a lot of people, the things that I consider dumb, a lot of people be well, that's a part of being in school, is a part of the memories, which I think it's part of the trauma and why people have such low confidence and self-esteem and ability to think and do for themselves. Is school has a big part of that. And so at a young age I recognized this. So the reasons why I decided to homeschool is the school system is a joke. The objective is only to graduate as many individuals as they can. I failed 3 classes in high school, not because I was dumb, not because I was slow, because I just didn't care. School didn't interest me. The only reason why I went to school was to hang out with my friends. There was nothing else that I got from school. And I'm sorry, I realize that I sniffle a lot when I'm doing these videos. For some reason, my nose is always running when I do videos. So I do apologize that you guys keep hearing. I wish I had a tissue. I don't want to get up and interrupt the video, so I'm sorry. But yeah, I failed 3 classes. And then I did I think my freshman year, I was on the honor roll. And then 10th grade, I allowed influence of my peers to get the best of me, and so I wasn't really present in school. And so I graduated with I graduated 10th grade with a very low GPA, and then junior year it was still kind of low. It was better than my 10th grade year. And then my 12th grade year, I tried at the last minute to get my GPA up, which I don't know if that really worked. But I graduated, which I don't know how I managed to graduate. But that's the thing about the schooling systems, is that they don't really care about what you learn in school, what they provide in school. One moment. Okay, thank you. Thank you, baby. My daughter's really sweet. She's probably finished. All right. What was I just talking about? I can't remember, but yeah, like I did very poorly in school. I mean, I just was not there. I did not care. And I have to ask, if you don't think that the school system is a joke, let me ask you this. How much do you remember from school? And how much of that information do you use on a day-to-day basis besides your reading, your basic math and writing? Besides those main subjects that you learn in elementary school, what else did you take from school that you still apply to your life to this day? And when I talk to any adult, most cannot remember what they learned in school. If they do remember, like state's capital, like I'm sorry, but I'm sure there's a job where you may need to know all 50 states capital, but when do you use that in your daily life? Like not ever. So like, I'm sorry, but the school system is a joke. The school system was not set up to encourage the individual's potential. It was set up to prepare children for the workforce and not to question the system. So you're giving textbooks and you're told this is history, this is what it happened, this is what happened, and then you let your child take that as true and just go into the world not questioning things. And then like when kids do try to question, it's often rejected because if it's not taught in the school book, it is not a lesson. It's not what they deem important enough for the child to know. So again, school system is a joke. On average, between 14 to 28 children report being bullied at school. And that's just those who report it. I was bullied in school and I didn't say nothing. I didn't say nothing to nobody because you just dealt with it. And oftentimes that is the case. So I'm going to say the number is up higher. I would say nearly 40% to 50% of people are bullied. So not only was I bullied in my time in school, but when I went to school, MySpace became really popular. So people were making MySpace pages, which MySpace was legit. Like, could we go back to like that kind of template where you can customize your own profile like that? Like, I love MySpace. But in my school, in my grade actually, someone made a MySpace page that was designated to bullying other people. So like people's names would be on there and like they would call them out on some of the wildest things. And like not everyone, but majority of people had a MySpace. So this was like accessible to a lot of people. Thank God I was not on that list. Not that it really matters, but this is where we're at now, where bullying is so accessible and so easily for students to get involved in. And bullying and the effects of bullying can be so detrimental to the individual's perception of themselves, their ability to want to live and be here. And like this really needs to be brought up into attention because we don't realize that even like the way that we talk to our children, the way that we that we just talk to any like other individuals is on a level of its own bullying. Like, but we don't recognize that that we are doing this and that this has such a huge impact on others, and especially children. And it's like, it was really one of the things that really worried me about having children and the potentials of putting them in a school system, was that the potential of kids, my children being bullied, not just them, just any kids, or even worse, like my children being the ones who are bullying others. Like, I can't necessarily stop that if I don't know what's going on, and say my children are bullying others, but they're one of the people who aren't reporting it. So it never gets brought up to my awareness. I never get to say anything to my child, and my children continue to hurt and affect other people, and vice versa. Like, if my children went to school and they were bullied and they didn't say anything, and they're having behavioral issues and they're having a hard time being able to cope, but I can't do anything about it because they're not talking to me, like, I know what that's like. And so I did not want to, kind of wanted to limit that accessibility to bullying. Though I know that I cannot prevent bullying 100%, I can help affect the factors of bullying. And so one of the next things that really like helped me decide to homeschool was that in a school year, on average, there are about 14,152 students who report sexual abuse and misconduct by teachers and staff. So that's just teachers and staff. The kids now, like when I was in school, we were sexually active in high school. Now these kids are sexually active in elementary school, and I hate to say it, but it is what it is. So on top of being bullied by other kids, there are the chances of being sexually abused, sexual misconduct by other children, as well as teachers and staff. And as someone who has dealt with sexual abuse, that is not something that I am trying to have my children exposed to. Again, I know I cannot prevent everything 100%, but I can reduce the odds. And so that is a scary number. Like, can you imagine your child being the victim of a teacher sexually abusing them? Can you imagine your child being the victim of that, but they feel like they can't talk to you, so they hold that stuff in them, and it affects them later down the line, where they have anxiety, they have depression, they can't trust nobody? So unfortunately, I know that's a very tough pill for people to swallow, but this is real life stuff. Bullying and sexual abuse is very common in the school system. It don't matter if you are in the ghetto, it don't matter if you're in the suburbs, it don't matter if you're in a rich neighborhood. These are not prevented in school, and they're not designed to be prevented. Actually, I'm going to say that the school systems that we have now low key supports this stuff. It might not be like outright campaigning that this is what happens, but if you believe that teachers and staffs in the school district, if you don't think that they're aware of this stuff, then you are a fool. You're not paying attention. And if your kid is in public schooling, you really need to sit down with yourself and really think about, is putting your kid in public schooling the best for your child? Not for you, but for your child. And so, with that being said, when I had my daughter, at a very young age, I really started, well, not at a young age. When my daughter was at a young age, I really started reflecting on, the schooling options for my daughter, and it was a no-brainer that I was going to homeschool. But one of the reasons, besides like all of the horrible stuff that be going on in the school system, which again, sorry, I want to backtrack. So the school system does not prepare our children for life, for the reality of things. A lot of people, when they graduate school, like high school and whatnot, feel lost, feel ill prepared. Like, school doesn't teach us emotional intelligence. School doesn't teach us how to think for ourselves. School doesn't teach us how to find our passions and pursue it. School doesn't tell us how to self-regulate. School doesn't do a lot of stuff. Instead, what school does, it shapes the individual to go into the workforce. And I know a lot of people go like, well, what's wrong with that? Like, you have to work, you have to have a job. I don't know if I would necessarily agree with that 100%. But I don't think we should be preparing our children for the workforce. I think we should be preparing our children for reality and what it's like in the real world, and how to dominate in our lives. Let me see if I can explain that better. Empowering our children to take control of their life, to not feel like they're limited to certain routes like trade school, college, military, workforce, to empower our children to find where their strengths are, where their passions are, who they are, so that they can feel confident within themselves and then pursue the thing in which they want to pursue. And so with that, it was really like not a question, rather I was going to homeschool my children. And so a part of that was, as well as, I wanted more time with my children. Like, you send your kids to school for like 7-8 hours a day, and if your kids are in after school like activities, or if they're in high school and they're working, that's less time that you are getting with your children, which means that is more time that other people are influencing your child. That's not their child, that's your child. You should be the primary influencer in your child's life. You are their first teacher, and you should remain their teacher. I know a lot of people think like you gotta go to school, you gotta have a degree to be a teacher, but that is not true. There are so many homeschooling families that have no background in education and are raising brilliant children. I live in a state right now where homeschooling, it's common. Like, it's seriously one of the best states, I would say, for homeschooling. And like, I meet so many like people who are like, around my age. They're older and they'll be like, oh, I homeschool my children. Oh, I was homeschooled. Oh, I homeschooled. Older people would say like, oh, I homeschooled my children. Like, and it's really great, because it really does show you that anyone can teach their kids. You don't need a degree. Most of these teachers who are teaching your children or your future children are underqualified. So please keep that in mind. For me, I wanted to be in control of what my children were learning. And so right now in the public schools, they push Common Core. They pretty much want to want to bring up brain dead kids. That's what Common Core does. It kills individuality, it kills creativity, it kills critical thinking, it kills imagination, and all of those are very important to have in life. And so when in our homeschooling curriculum, like what we do, it's all child based. So I help teach my daughter right now because my son is too young, but I help teach my daughter the basics of math, reading, writing, and then she gets to choose what she's interested in. So this year we are going to be learning sign language and Spanish, and so like that's like her two focus for this year. Oh, and she's also into like dancing, and even though she's only 8, she's thinking about having a career in dancing. So right now she is in ballet and hip hop, and so that is me supporting that which she desires, so that if in the future she decides that, hey, I want to make something out of my dancing, she's already got the experience in the background. My daughter's a go-getter. Like, she's a leader to the fullest. So I have no doubt in my mind that my daughter will not be able to pursue and dominate any career or field that she chooses. But my approach is all about finding my daughter's strength and her weaknesses so that she can work on that and not let them defeat her or stop her from pursuing the things that she wants, and also to provide her with materials and the education of the things that she's interested in. And then like I continually to have these talks with her, like, what do you want to learn, what are you interested in, and then just going off of that. And then once she is of an age where she fully understands that her education is in her hands, she can learn whatever she wants to. Like, we live in such an amazing time right now where education is everywhere, information is everywhere, and so you don't need to go to school to be successful. You don't need a degree to make good money to survive here. Like, for people who think that that is the only way that you can survive in this world, it is not. You have been fooled. You have been told that you can only do a certain amount of things. You have to go down a certain amount of path in order for you to survive, for you to make it. But it's like my generation and the generation below us is like deciding like, hey, like, you know what? We don't have to adhere to what you guys thought was true. Like, we're going to break that. Like, there are people who are making millions of dollars for playing video games and posting it on YouTube. Like, I was just watching this video of this guy who was interviewing like teen millionaires, and this one kid in high school, hasn't even graduated, makes millions of dollars while he's in school, makes millions of dollars while he's sleeping. Like, the possibility, the potential to make it in this world is not limited to what we were taught. And so for me, that is important to teach my children, is that their options are endless, that there's unlimited possibilities. Whatever their heart and their soul is telling them to go is where I want them to go. And I also love, because I get to teach them real history. I get to teach them about rights and sovereignty and freedom. And so like that's a part of like our life education. So like I don't have a education style for my children. We more do like life schooling, where I do my best to prepare my children to be highly functional adults who understand their power, who aren't afraid to shake things up, who aren't afraid to do things differently, and who are proud to be themselves. And so yeah, I'm just super excited. Like, I'm just super happy that I do have the opportunities to teach my children and to create an education that is based upon what I find is valuable for them and what I feel that my children need in order for them to be prepared for the real world, as well as to continue to support and encourage them towards the path that they want to be. So even if my daughter today is like, I want to be a dancer, I want to open up my own studio, and I'm going to keep pursuing that. But if she says, like, in 6 months, like, you want to know what? I don't want to be a dancer. I want to learn guitar and be in a band. Then I'm going to keep supporting that. Even if by time my daughter is 16, she has changed what she's wanted to do 30,000 times, I will continue to change with her 30,000 times to encourage and support her to try as many things as she wants, so that she can find what makes her happy and so that she can do what she wants here and make a living from it. And so another reason why I chose to homeschool was the individual attention. Like, I'm sorry, there's no way that one teacher can provide education for 30 students. Like, I was in STNA, which I think in a lot of states it's called like a CNA. So I was like a nurse assistant. And for me, sometimes I would have like up to like 18 residents to take care of, and oh my goodness, how overwhelming, how rushed I felt. And I had 8 hours, where some teachers only have, a few hours. So how can teachers give students the individual attention and the care and they need when they have 29 other students or 20 other students? And not all children learn the same. Not all children learn at the same rate, at the same level. Not all children learn, I think, the same way. I said the same way, but yeah, so like my daughter doesn't like to sit down. She's a very active child. I mean, this child be eating dinner and be doing like backflips off the couch at the same time. Like my child has a very hard time of just, focusing on what she's got to focus on. And so, like, I can't see putting my daughter in a school where they're going to make her sit down. Oh, she's got to ask to go to the bathroom. Like, that's ridiculous to me. And so that is a big reason why I wanted to homeschool my children, so that they get the attention and the education and the care that they need, and that they don't feel rushed. They don't have to feel like, well, everyone's getting it. Why am I not getting it? And I'm going to wrap this video up here shortly, but another reason why I decided to homeschool was the freedom to use our day the way that we want to. Like, I'm not that person where it's like, all right, we have to mimic school. You're going to be in school for 7 hours a day. One, I don't have time for that. My daughter don't want to be in school for 7 hours a day. We do what works for us, what's comfortable for us. And I love that about homeschooling, because you have the freedom to decide how your day unfolds, what you learned from the day. If you want to take a sick day, if you just want to take a mental health day, which is also something I want to encourage, like I'm trying to encourage my children, is that, like, just because we have a schedule, if you're not feeling it that day, I'm not going to force you, because I know what it's like to go to school, to go to work when I'm mentally, physically, emotionally not there, and it sucks. And so I want to teach my children that life isn't about just showing up. Life is about showing up for yourself, to make sure that you are feeling good, that you are feeling whole and balanced, so that you can do the thing that you need to do here. Like, you can't do a good job if you're stressed out, if you're going through depression. And so the flexibility allows me and my children to make our day the way that we want to make our day. And so that's really pretty much it. I love homeschooling. It is stressful at times. Homeschooling is not for the faint of heart. but it's very rewarding. I get told all the time that my child is very bright, very brilliant. I know a lot of people worry about when it comes to homeschooling, if your children will be socially awkward, if they'll get enough time socializing, which I think is like seriously a load of crap, because I know not everyone's like this, but my child, she has no problem socializing. This child will talk to anybody and everybody. This child, she likes people. She's always liked people. And so like we do other things, like we live in a homeschooling like area, so like there's a bunch of other homeschooling parents, and we would do get-togethers. We would have co-ops where the kids would have like certain classes, which co-ops were pretty dope. We go to the park, like we're always out. Like we don't, children who are homeschooled don't get homeschooled in a root cellar and just stay there. Like I would say honestly, majority of homeschooling students are out and about in the world, in the community. Not saying that that's for every homeschooling parent, but for the majority of the homeschooling parents that I have met, that I have found, have no problems with getting their kids to socialize, to get out in the community. Some kids just don't do good with socialization. I was in school for 13 years, kindergarten and then K through 12. And I'm socially awkward. Like I am very socially awkward, and I had time to socialize, which when you put your kid when you put your kid in public schooling, they don't go to socialize. You don't put your kid in school to socialize. You put your kid in school for education. They don't get time to socialize unless it's a little bit time in between schools, or they're passing notes, or they're chit-chatting while the teacher's trying to teach. But when you go to school, it's not about socializing. So people need to get that out of their mind. But yeah, that's enough of my ranting and raving. I just wanted to come with another video to, let you guys a little bit into my world and why I chose a homeschool. And I hope that you were able to take something away. I intend for that you were able to take something away from this. But I'm going to head out. Thank you for being here. You guys are amazing. If you guys have any questions about homeschooling, please feel free to reach out to me. You can check me out on Instagram at bs.sacred.space. That's B Sacred Space on Instagram. You can also leave a comment in YouTube as well. So until next time, guys, take care.